Righto, we're live. Slow and steady wins the race. So I've got my camera set up. Now I normally would be going to my dad's to do his shopping for him. Kim's going to do it on her own today, which he's done a few times, which means I can just take my time polishing and I will get done and then I can start packing. So I'll get this polished well before Kim gets back, because normally it's a 3-hour round trip, and that way I can get this polished for Jeff, and I'll do a quick video on it when Kim gets back. But I will have started packing the board for Matt's board. So Matt's board and Phil's GoPro we're giving. So we should get some pretty good stuff from the GoPro. Now this works out really well. All I had to do was click on my YouTube, press create, and then live. Okay, so it was a really quick setup. And I had to just go through GoPro Live to be able to transfer it to the website and everything. It was just a pain in the ass. There were so many things you had to go through. We understand for legality and things like that. But no, I just wanted a simple system, and now I've got it in place. And yeah, a lot better. So I thought I'll get this polished, done, so I can just start on the packaging of the board, and which is okay. Oh, g'day, Jeff. I was just explaining I don't have to go to my dad's to do the shopping. I can just stay home and polish, only because we're going away tomorrow to Bonnie's, and we wanted to get everything done. So I want to deliver Matt's board once we pack it to TNT, the Savo, and no stuffing around. And I thought I'd get the camera out and start using it for this view. I know a lot of people are interested in it, but it's a good view. You can see what we actually do. And probably more so for people wanting to, yes, more so for people wanting to learn to make boards and stuff, and they see little, you know, things that I do. And it is the prototype, this one. I'll have to make a template off this before it goes out the door as well. Just draw it up. I won't cut it out. I'll get it drawn up. Just in case. Nearly there, and then I'll go and make Kim a cuppa in 5 minutes. I'll leave the webcam going. There you go. Look at that. Looks nice. Slow and steady. Yeah. Oh no, this is it, Jeff. How much about people have an idea, and which you did about a couple of boards, and which are valid ideas, and we just I want to turn it into something that I like to make, and then suddenly you've got to. I know there's new models always, stuff like that, but the main thing is we try new things, and that's the thing about you're not just making the one thing over and over. We try new things. Okay, so that's done. Now, so that rail's done. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go and make Kim a cuppa. So I'm going to take this off, bear with me, and I've got to get a cord so I can charge my camera. Okay, I'm not going to use that one. Put that up here. There we go. Now just what's in that one? No. So I'm just going to go and grab a cord. Now I'm going to leave this camera going for the moment. That'll be okay. Now I'm seeing if I've got a charging cord here. Let me have a look. I haven't got one yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave the camera here for a sec. I'm going to go and get a charging cord. There we go. I'll be back in a second. Hang on. Might have one in here. 1 second. Back in a minute. Righto, let's see how this goes. Now, put my camera back on. There we go, I just checked the thing, put my hands right there where I'm working, and that's basically a good view, yes. But I thought I had another charger around here. No. Oh, here it is. Perfect. So what I can do, I can have this, just thinking where I can put that. Okay, that's for that. That's for the computer. That's for a charger over there. Okay, so I'll have to put a double adapter in here and charge the camera up here. Okay, that's all good. I'll get a double adapter. Getting there. Right, so I'm back here. Sorry, lots of jobs we've got to do. Organising stuff. Next rail. Hopefully I'll have this done about an hour and a half. So I'm going to be home live, so Jeff can come whenever. He'll see on the video when it's done. So I'm just going to work on this till I finish it now. Slow and steady wins the race. There we go. Right. Now just feel for any imperfections in the rail. Hand's the best way to do it, as you'll feel it straight away. Sorry. Nice and slow. You just got to do this. Righto. Now I'm just going to check the edge. I want to make sure I cut back the edge enough, but I don't want to get it going to the weave. So I'll do this. That's perfect. That's perfect. I need a little bit more here and here, and a little bit here and here. Okay. So a little bit here and here. Wipe that off. Yep, more here. Now the reason you do this is because I'll hardly go around this edge now, because I want it to be, I don't want to overcut it. So a little bit more here. Because if you overdo it, you end up bringing a weave, and you don't want the cardinal in. Perfect and perfect. You do not want to bring up weave around the tail. When I started polishing back in 1985, if you buffed through a board, you used to have to go and sand the whole board down again and re-dry it. So it was not what you wanted to do. Yeah. Now 800. Yeah, so if you had to redo the whole board, that was a pain in the ass, and you never got paid for it. That was in the 80s before everything started going fucked off Daz. Now that I've got that little bead around here down perfectly flat, I know not to touch that weave area, or that tail area too much, because I'll buff through. So I'll limit how much I do this. That's it. Done. That's all you need to do. Now I won't go under that area again. I'll leave it. Now Jeff's getting this board with the twin pins. They're purpose-built twin pins that I do that put the twin pin in the right position for an inch further back than a tri-pin position, so you can retrofit a few other boards and not limit model to just one setup. I put the 12-inch box in the centre so Jeff can put a tri-pin in the back in the box and have it in the correct position, 4 inches up, and then he can put a 2+1, like say a 7-inch in the centre, or an 8-inch, and side by it, and that'd be all the way at the front of the box, and it'll be in the correct position. So we've made it, and a quad in, so we've made it so you can try out a lot of different things. Jeff's going to be the test pilot on this board, because it's made for exactly the type of surfer Jeff is. His age, his size, his weight, his experience. He's got experience of all types of boards, and he will give a really good ride report information about this model. I'll be able to pass on to other surfers that are in the same situation as Jeff and still want to hop on a shorter board. This one is 7'10". It's 3 3/4 thick and 23 wide. You're just not going to walk into a shop and find something like that. You know, unfortunately, it's a very difficult type of thing to get. That's why this type of board, these custom boards for these different surfers, are so important. You know, like I can tweak this a certain way so it just works perfectly, Jeff. And that's what I do with all my models. I could get someone ordering whatever, and because of their size or weight or age or ability, I can adjust it just slightly to make it better for them. And that's what you go and get a custom board for. That's the whole thing about custom boards. And hopefully the board maker you get to make it knows enough to build you a good custom board. Anyone can make something that looks like a surfboard, but it's got to go. It's how it feels when you ride it. You know when you've got a good board because you absolutely love riding it. You know when you've got a shit board, you're not too fussed on it. Okay, so that's what it comes down to. It's no special thing. Like this board here, I'll break this board down here. Okay, it has an 1 7/8 tail rocker. Now, that type of flat rocker in the tail means you can stand on it, it'll generate lots of speed, and it'll be really predictable and basically a quick board. Yes, you can put more rocker in them, but you lose too much speed, you lose a lot of other factors. So for a normal surfer, this type of board just goes unreal. It mightn't go for a pro surfer, but you know, you're not going to get, what's his name? Michael Schumacher, when he was still driving, you know, becoming a bus driver. You know what I mean? So you got to put things in a context. The idea of surfing is getting lots of waves, surfing and doing what you want to do on a wave, not what you dream about, because we're all dreamers, but if you can get lots of waves, paddle on a wave, and you're really winning. I know so many surfers that quit because of the wrong board. It happened in the 90s. So many bigger guys, like 90 kilos, basically were frustrated during the early 90s because everything went narrow and thin. You couldn't buy a 20-inch wide board. Everything was 18 or 17.5. You know, so they were trying to get these big guys to ride it, and it wrecked a lot of people surfing. We only have one crack at it, life, and that's all I do. I make people happy. I make surfboards, but my main job is making people happy. And you don't get a happier person than a surfer, male or female, old or young, fat or skinny, or whatever. You don't get a happier person on the face of the earth when they've got a good board. They just are over the moon. Of course, this board would go terrible for someone 60 kilos and 20 years of age and totally not the right board. If you're 105 kilos and you're 50, you know, this is the bloody best board for you. Or you're overcoming a few injuries, you know, you can't beat it. Because you can always get better again and then go to a more performance-y board. That's the whole thing. You get a board that fits what you surf right now, because if you don't, you end up quitting surfing. I recently did an experiment. I had a few people try out a board, and the report, not my board, another board, which they like the look of, and I did say to them, hey guys, try it out and ride it. Tell me what you think. And they all said terrible. Now, I'm not going to name a brand or anything like that. I'm just saying, sometimes what can seem really popular can be a terrible board. I'm a great believer in how a board goes, not how much advertising is put into that board. This is the first one I've done of this model, so Jeff's going to try it out tomorrow. I'll be driving up to Bonny Hills tomorrow, so as soon as he's finished surfing and on his way home, I hope he calls me. Good or bad? I don't think it's going to be bad, because it's got too many elements in the board which will make it go. So that's, and it happened with this other board that I got some people to try out. I knew the things that were in it were unfortunately hindrances. What was that sound? You know, I knew some of the things that were in this other board, the things that made it look cool, but it doesn't make them go. And I was right, it didn't go. That's the difference between a board maker that has their name on the board because when someone hops out to surf and they're angry because their board is terrible, I'm the one that would cop it. If they hop out to surf and they're absolutely raving about their board, I'm the one that cops it. That's why it's so important. At the moment, the Daisy Chain is probably one of the best models I've got, in the sense of it suits a lot of different levels of surfing. It just comes down to how thick you get it and so forth, but it goes unreal. A lot of surfers are liking it, a lot of surfers are riding it, and I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, now I'm going to rinse this down, then flip over, and then do the deck. Now Jeff's going to take this in a Slimes and buy a cover for it. I'm pretty lucky. Mick lets my clients go down there with their board. I've taken a few down to get covers and accessories off him. Slimes are a really good, proper board shop. Mick's the top bloke, his partner in business, top guy. And I really appreciate the fact that they will let someone bring one of my boards in their shop and whinge about it, saying, can I get a cover? Because unfortunately with these sort of boards, you can't buy off the rack. You've got to put it there and check, because they're such thick boards. It's so easy for a board not to fit into a cover. And Mick lets me do that. So even when I bought a cover for a client, if it's gone with Clint and they say, can you get me a cover? I just go down there, put the board in the cover, work out which one's the best one, and then pay for it, and then send the client the receipt and leave the money in my account. So I don't make anything on it, but I give work to a local business like Slimes, and because it's not about making enemies in this industry. There's enough work for everyone, and I've got a lot of respect for that shop, because who owns it and how they run it. And I've known it for a lot of years, and they're really decent people, and they're the ones you want to affiliate with to a point. You know what I mean? Like, if someone buys a cover, that's, you know, 220, 30 bucks sometimes, and then the leg rope's about 80, 90. So, you know, I would rather get that right. It's not cheap shop. It's not the cheapest, like Surface Warehouse. They're, you know, Creatures of Leisure, all the good brands. So, when I used to have a shop, 26 years ago, I only had it for about a year, then ended up getting divorced and shut it down because I became a single parent, and I just thought, nah, I'll just do a bit of work on take for someone and let them have the stress. And anyway, I had FCS, and I was going to get Balin, and then I had Balin lined up, and then Russell from Balin turned around and said, oh, I can't let you have it because Mick, who I used to work for, said, you know, he doesn't want you to have it. Anyway, Mick Burns. And I went, oh, really? Anyway, I rang FCS, and then Pete Vine said, no one tells us who can sell it and who can't. And so I got FCS in. And then Balin came back and tried to say, oh, we'll sell to you now. And I said, sorry, buddy, you're scratched, mate. I won't ever buy a product off you ever again. Because when I needed him, they ditched me. And like the old saying goes, the rats are the first ones that leave a sinking ship in a way. So you find out who the rats are. And, yeah. I ended up in FCS, not a problem. But then later on, I worked for another company, and when I left them, because Kim had to get a hysterectomy. I had to stay at home and look after Kim. I could have still shaped at home for him, but they said nah, and they ditched me. Anyway, which is fair enough, each to their own. And then when I decided to start my own label up again, they had a hissy fit with FCS, and because they always owed FCS a lot of money, they never paid their bills on time. They always owed them 20 grand or whatever, 30 grand. FCS said, oh, well, we can't sell it to you because of that. And then I went, fuck it, I'll make my own fins. And I started to, and then I thought, no, I'll go and see Stephen Tracy, and now I have the best fins you can get, and they're made in Australia. And I make my own fins too. But so you learn about who's with you and who's not along the way. And there's a lot of people in this industry that are I would trust. I was talking to one in California, and I was talking about, came up in conversation about having a board making show. They have this Asian show where people go there and spend an hour or so on the board, and that's it, you know. And this other guy said, well, why don't we have one where you make a board from start to finish over a week? And I said, well, I'd come over to do it to America, but I'd only do it if it was 3 days. I said 2 days, but because if I start at 6 and finish at 6, I only need 2 days. And that's to shape, glass, spray, sand, finish, coat and polish, and make the fin as well. But they said they don't open till 10. So I said, okay, 3 days. But I'd only do it if you have to make the fin as well. And the main reason for that is there would be fuck all people that will want to go along to do that. I mean, this last board I did for Matt, I made the fin. I make a lot of my fin, and it's easy to do. But when you start seeing who the manufacturers are that can't do everything, they would never want to go to it. So I would do it for 3 days, and you have to make the fin as well. Put it this way, none of the manufacturers you see advertised in Surf Mag are going to do that. There's only a handful of people that do everything themselves. Very small group of people we're in. Well, look at this board. Today's Monday. I'm polishing it. I shaped it Saturday morning, glass it, put the box in, sanded it, finish coated it, and polishing it today. So, and I polished that other board yesterday. So, but yeah, I said I'll do it. They can pay for me airfare, I'll come out. But there mightn't be many people coming to it. Because then you'll see who the fakes are. You'll see who the people get computer shaping their boards. You'll see who the people get to pay other people to glass them. You'll see who the people are that pay other people to make their fins. All the hoaxers will be caught out big time. Sorry, is that the 800? Yes, it's the 800. Sorry, I'm just... I'm all for it. I think let's expose them all. Let's see who the fraudies are. $800, $400, $400. Yep. $1,200. Yep, done that. Okay. Now $1,200. So where did this extra $1,200 come from? And that must be one there. Okay, I've cut an extra sheet of $1,200. That's not bad. What's that? Oh. Then I wouldn't have got done. No. Now you got to try out different fins. I will make one eventually. Now I've only got this 1,200 to go, then I'm going to start polishing. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think that would look good. What would look good is orange in the center with I reckon yellow and then green on the outside, the 5-colour one. But hang on a minute. That's going to be... This is looking good. I'm liking the look of this. Tim will be back about 12:30, so that means I'm going to be able to get this done by about, I'll probably finish this in 11 o'clock, and then I can start on the box for Matt's board, and that way I'll get it all made up and Kim can help me put it together, glue the sides and tack it, and yeah, it's going to happen real quick. Now this 1200 by hand, this just cleans up where the line ends, okay? Basically you machine something, you end up with a definite line where it ends, and doing this, because this has only had 400 on the rail, so if I left that, just 400, probably wouldn't come up as shiny as what it's going to come up with now. These are the little extras you do, and you learn over the years. Last bit, then buff time. That's it. Oh. Now polish time. This is the quick release from 3M. Great tool. I love it. I used the screw on for years, like nearly 30 years. And then from FMS tried to hook me into the quick release. And he ended up having one that Graham gave to him, and he gave it to me. This is still the one. I realised later they're worth $120. But I use their quick release pads now. So right, now the bottom. Now I've got a couple of spots here which I'm just going to give a touch more wet and dry. What happens when you're polishing, you might see a little spot we need to do a little bit more wet and drying, not much, but that's why you don't overdo it at the start. because you end up through. So I see a little spot here, and it only takes not even a minute. Not even a minute. Bit of polish. About 20 rubs, that's all it took, lightly. Now, a lot of factories would have left that little bit on there and wouldn't have worried about it. But I'm not a lot of factories. Now that's perfect. Now there was a little bit here. Same thing again, a lot of factories would have left it. But I'm not a lot of factories. Now, I check it, and it's perfect. See that extra minute? That's what happens when you buy a surfboard off a person whose name is on the board. Because it's their reputation that is on the line. Yeah, it's their reputation on the line, and they want it perfect. See that? That rail is perfect. Now do the other rail. And if I find a little imperfection, I will go over it. That extra minute. That's what you're paying for. Remember, the person in the shop's not going to do it. All they're trying to do is get you to buy a board off them. They're not going to give you that minute. If I did a custom board and I missed something and the guys pick it up, or girl, and it needed an extra little bit, I'd just take it straight back out and give it a little bit more buffing where it needed it. You wouldn't not do it. Yeah, you wouldn't not do it, and that's what you're paying for. Yeah, so That's what you're paying for. You're paying for what it means to have your name on a surfboard. That reputation. And I'll tell you a little story. I got offered, I worked for this mob once and they offered me, I was making boards for them, the whole lot, and they wanted more. I could only do about 50 or 60 a year for them. And they wanted 200. So I said, we can't do 200. And they said, what about if you shape them and we get them glass? And I said, oh, okay. And I went down there and they took me to the glasser and he was going to glass them and he said, oh, I'm not capping the box. And I just went, fine, mate, you don't have to. And I said, I don't want to do it. He lost $100,000 worth of work with one comment. And I lost 30,000, but it didn't matter. I didn't want people that would do something. And that was one of the biggest names in surfboards, Sydney. And they were willing to do something substandard. I wasn't. So it just shows you how the names of companies oh, look at that. Yeah, so I just said, no, don't worry about it, mate. I'm not doing it. Couldn't believe that I said no to $30,000. And that's only, 200 boards. That's only, not even too much work, right? And that's not hard work either. So I was shaping them in an hour and 15. Now this is the part where you can tell if it's done really well. And guess what? That's fucking perfect. Not one buff through, not one anything. Hard edge, no buff throughs. So, thank you. Yeah, but that company wanted me to make them boards and not get box hats. And I went, not in your life. Never. I don't know if Jeff's still watching, but I reckon he'll be frothing. if he is. I think he's out driving. He had to drop his daughter at TAFE, I think. Tiny little spot. Where is it? Tiny little spot here. Amazing how little it takes to get an infection out. But again, it's because of the name on the board. That's who does this sort of stuff. All board makers. Beautiful. Last bit. Oh my God, that looks good. So it looks like I'm going to finish at 11 o'clock. I've only got the deck to go. Wow, this looks good. Look at that. Now that's polished rails and bottom, perfect, straight into a shop. That's what it looks like, okay? I got the deck to go, and then I'm done. We're going to Bonnie's tomorrow, and I just want 2 days of just doing nothing. You know what I mean? That's how we like to do it. Have a nice relaxing time. We do a lot of caring for our parents, and Tim's up at my dad's now. I couldn't make it because I had to get this done, but it does tire you out, the caring. I'm not saying it's easy, but sometimes you just need that little break. We do it every month. We don't go anywhere. We just chill in the cabin, ocean view, and we've got Dale and Karen come for a visit, but nothing to do with work or caring, just total relaxation, which is lovely. We like it. That's our little break. And we do it 12 times a year, every month. When we went to Bonnie's, yes, that was a bit of work, but it was still nice. Oh my goodness. Nearly there. Last a bit. Here we go. Last bit. done. So Jeff board is done. Next thing is I start packing Matt's board to get a CNC to Samo. And as well in the box, we're going to chuck in some stuff for Phil, because Phil will probably be picking it up for Matt. Just a GoPro camera and a few accessories. He's going to start doing GoPro thing. And the camera cost us all up about, what was it, $500 for the camera and a couple hundred for accessories, but it was well worth it. But it's sitting, I'm not using it, so I'd rather let Phil use it and get some good footage of some surfing for us. That's the main thing. So rather than sitting there not doing anything for us, that camera's going to be working with Phil. So I'm happy about that. Oops. Right, let's get this. Let's get this sorted. And righto, clean this up. Sometimes it takes a little bit of rubbing. So what you do is you just make sure the edge is sanded back a bit, because you don't want the capping to get ripped off. And I'll just trim this a little bit. Sometimes you put this back in again. There you go. Clean it up with the blade. That's it. And that is now done. Right, so that's trimmed out. I can rinse this off and then let it drip dry. Then I'll machine it for Jeff. Done. Now I'll take this apron off without bumping my camera. Rinse my apron off. There we go, that's clean. Now I'm just going to go in here and turn my other camera off. Here we go. So I'll turn this off, end stream, done.